everyone. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays with Stephanie. I am Stephanie Buckland, your host. I am so excited and delighted to be interviewing my friend and colleague, Jennifer Doliveria, today. Thank you, Jennifer. I'm so delighted that you're here. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh, this is so cool. I cannot wait to dive into this conversation. So, I would love for you to give our audience an introduction of who you are, what you're up to in the world, and how your magic shows up as a result.
Okay, well, I am Jennifer Dollavera. I'm a graduate of the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts. I have an Associate of Occupational Science in Western Herbalism. I also graduated from their Aromatherapy program, their Yoga Nidra certification. Um, I'm studying to be a yoga teacher there, and I'm also a sound healer from Sweha. I've got lots of different hats I wear and lots of different fun things that I do as far as modalities.
I love it. So, what is your why? What is it that led you into doing these healing modalities?
You know, it's interesting. A few years ago, my original degree that I got a million years ago is in fashion. I have a retail degree. I have a merchandise marketing degree with an emphasis in product development. And so that very quickly became very meaningless to me. And unfortunately, there's a lot of very angry women that work in that field.
Mm.
And so it was not filling my cup. And I also was a wedding planner for 9 years. I had a very successful business in California as a wedding planner, and that was filled my cup for a very long time. But I promised myself when it stopped being fun that I would no longer do that. And then I raised my daughter. Um, I raised my daughter while I had my wedding coordinating business. She was born just as I started that business, and I raised my daughter, and we moved here to Arizona in 2006. And I did numerous things, like I said, raising my child. And about 2018, I started to want to find something else.
Mm.
And I found myself in in involved with aromatherapy a little bit, dabbling a little bit, just kind of having the oils at home and doing that a little bit
Mhm.
at home. And that one thing led to another, and I was at Phoenix College, then I was at SWEHA, and here I am.
Awesome. Yeah, aromatherapy for me, I was drawn in originally because of a wellness center in California that I started, and I had all these practitioners coming and wanting to offer workshops. That was one of them, was a Young
Yeah,
Living
yeah,
presentation, and
yeah,
I bought in. I was like, "Yes, I want to clean out my toxins from my cupboards and get all healthy." And actually, if you're listening to this, if you scroll back a few months, I think I interviewed a couple of Young Living practitioners. So
yeah,
there are. Um, Essential oils has been a big part of my life, of
yeah,
my awakening journey, but also just recognizing that there is power in having a clean house with clean products that are not going to fill your house with chemicals. That
right,
was the biggest part of it. So
right. And,
thank you.
you're welcome. And part of my why is also that I wanted to give something back.
Yeah,
Give to others, heal others. And through the process of all of this, I embarked on a very large healing journey of my own. Um, Through the process, it was kind of like some things came up, and it was like, well, how can I heal others if I don't heal myself? So that came up as well. So, but now it's all about giving
yeah,
back to others. That's really,
that's
really my why.
yeah. And I think that that really is what guides us into healing. Many of us have a healing journey that, the healer be healed concept, that we need to heal ourselves. We need to, I've told the story of like that we need to go through the fire first in order to recognize all of the things that are wrong so that we can fix them and resolve and create a healing potential for other people. And
Right.
that's essentially what leads a lot of us into a healing modality. It's either a health crisis that we resolve with a healing therapy, or it's something that we realize within ourselves that we want to help. We want to, I mean, for me, God, watching my dad go through heart disease and type 2 diabetes was my why. I want to heal the world because I watched my dad get sick and die, and it was horrible to watch.
Yeah.
That is my why. And it's such a big why that it's like it feels so monstrous. The big project that I want to do is so much bigger. And that's why I love doing things like this, because we heal together. It's not about us singularly doing it, it's about
Yeah.
us collectively
Yes.
doing this. So
Yes,
let's
definitely.
dive in. I love the fact that you are an expert in herbalism. I love the fact that you have a degree in this. I have always been intrigued by herbalism. Um, I love herbal teas. That's something I absolutely love. But even beyond that, using herbs in various tinctures and ways that we use herbs. So I'd love to hear about how you use herbalism in your home.
I use it in a lot of different ways, and it's interesting. I talked about being on a healing journey, and it was a mental health healing journey, but some things have come up recently as far as physically. I have a condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it has a couple of kind of nasty comorbidities that go with it, a condition called POTS and a condition called MCAS. They're kind of like a trifecta, and they kind of go together. And also, along with this, I wound up with some really awful gut issues,
Oh, wow.
some small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. I'm very, very fortunate. My weight loss doctor and who's also my primary care doctor is a DO, but she's also an incredible advocate as far as healing modalities and herbalism. And when this small intestinal bacterial overgrowth came up, it was the worst result that they'd ever seen in the practice. They met with a specialist, but they also with her staff, she had a meeting to try to figure this out because, as I mentioned, it was the worst one they'd ever seen.
Wow.
They put me on bitters, they put me on digestive enzymes, they hooked me up with a functional medicine coach, they put me on berberine, which is wonderful for weight loss, but it's also for sugar balance, but it's also antibacterial.
Okay.
So it was amazing. And then also the woman that manages my psychiatric meds is very much into herbs and supplements, and her part of my healing protocol is chamomile and valerian. Part of my trauma protocol is chamomile and valerian. So
Yeah.
that came up, and she put me on magnesium glycinate as well as part of my trauma
Wow.
protocol. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. I've managed to hook myself up with these practitioners that believe in what I believe. And I really truly believe that there's a marriage that needs to be had between Eastern medicine and Western medicine.
I do
I
too.
don't, I don't think you can just go into a allopathic doctor and get your fix. I think you have to marry some of our healing modalities along with Western medicine, with
Yeah.
allopathic medicine in order to really make yourself work and thrive. So that's
Yeah.
really important to me. But I use herbalism at home in that way, but I also drink my own tea. I drink my own Kool-Aid, if you will. I make my own tea blends. I make my own tinctures. One of the things we're taught at SWIHA is how to make tinctures, how to do weight to volume ratios and things like that. And so we're taught how to make tinctures, dried and fresh plant material, dried plant material, fresh plant material. And so that's a really cool, thing to learn. The program at SWIHA, it's 745 hours of a diploma and then another 300 hours to get your degree.
Wow.
And I just
1,000
finished
hours of practice
a
and learning.
thousand hours of practice with all of this stuff. And,
Yeah.
it's loads of fun. I just love doing it. But that's pretty much the way I use herbalism at home, and I use my own aromatherapy. I make aromatherapy products as well, and so I use those, for pain and for healing and so
That's wonderful. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about the herbal products that you make for the community to consume.
I my most popular right now is I've got 3 tea blends that are actually available at Chateau de Vie at the Lavender Farm. There's a Blue Lotus Dream Tea, and you can get these on my website as well, but the Blue Lotus Dream Tea is amazing. It's probably their best seller. It's probably my best seller, but it's a sleep tea that's lavender and chamomile based.
Nice.
And then you have the Blue Lotus, which induces dreams. Blue Lotus is known for inducing dreams, but chamomile is a wonderful sleep herb. It's got motherwort in it. It's got lemon balm in it, another wonderful sleep herb. Motherwort we call the loving mother. It's a really wonderful sleep and healing herb. And then I have a lavender chamomile tea that I sell there, but the sleep tea is a little different. The sleep tea is really rather simple. It's lemon balm, chamomile, um, lavender, and rose petals. And it's a really lovely flavor. Both all of my teas have a really lovely flavor. I think you have to watch how much lavender you put into a tea blend because
Yeah,
lavender
it
can
can be
taste very
overpowering.
soapy. It can be very soapy tasting,
Ah,
and that's
yeah,
not pleasant. So,
right.
lavender is probably the low man on the totem pole. If it's not the lowest, common denominator, the lowest ingredient, it's the second because it's just like I said, it gets very soapy tasting.
Mm,
Smells wonderful, but it can taste like soap in a tea if you put too much. So,
yeah. So
yeah.
you can get your products at Chateau de Vie and then
Chateau de Vie and on my
Chateau de
website.
Vie and online. And I'll definitely include the link for the website in the description so you all can find that. Um, so it sounds like your healing journey was a big part of why you got into herbalism and aromatherapy.
It was, and
Kind of
it's
went
really
hand in hand.
it's interesting because one thing led to another because, and the aromatherapy I found Sweeha because of the aromatherapy. I was dabbling with Young Living, and my friend is the director of the massage therapy program at Phoenix College, and she said, Jen, we have an aromatherapy class coming up. Why don't you take it? And I thought, wow, that'll be fun. It's 5 Saturdays and I'll learn a lot and that'll be great. And I walked in and the teacher knew April Jaeger, who's the head of aromatherapy at Sweeha. And
Ah,
she really talked a lot about April and how wonderful April was and this and that. And I thought, okay, I got to take the aromatherapy program at Sweeha. So I called Sweeha, got involved with the aromatherapy program, and next thing I know, I'm falling in love with herbalism. And the next thing I know, I'm enrolled in the 745-hour diploma program at Sweeha. And what it's like, it all builds on each other. I feel like all of our healing modalities, we joke about drinking the Kool-Aid at Sweeha too,
yeah.
because you take one and then I got into Yoga Nidra was part of my Associate of Occupational Science. And so I took Yoga Nidra, fell in love with that. Now I'm taking yoga because I fell in love with Yoga Nidra. So it's it all builds on each other. We all and I'm taking health and wellness coaching too, which,
Yeah.
was part of my AOS as well. And
Ah,
so it's all
yep.
kinds of interesting. It
It
all,
is
all
interesting how it all kind of flows together, but it all makes sense too when you're in the thick of it and you're in your own healing journey and you're seeking.
yeah,
You find things and you have these like really deep clarifying moments of this is a modality that I can use for myself and I could absolutely see myself offering this service to other people, you know, and
yes,
like that's how I felt about Reiki. When I first got my very first session of Reiki, I was like, I need to know all about Reiki. I bought books about it, finally found a teacher, and it led into other things. Specifically for me, it was spirituality. and awakening my psychic skills and like all these other things that kind of developed from it. Like I'm a Diksha oneness giver because of my Reiki certification. I also got that one, and that one is so different, and people don't even know what it is, you
Yeah.
know. But Reiki is popular. I'm starting to like feel that all of these healing modalities have a space. It's almost like, who do you know? Who's in your Rolodex?
Yeah,
Showing my age.
exactly.
Who's in your Rolodex that you know that does Yoga Nidra? Who's in your Rolodex that you know that does Reiki? Who's in your Rolodex that you know that sells herbal tea? You know, and it's like we should have these lists available to us. We should have the connections because we need these connections and they help us
Yes.
heal.
Yes.
So tell me about your aromatherapy. What is your favorite scents that you use in your home?
You know, benzoin is actually my favorite scent, and benzoin is a resin. It's a wonderful, it's most known for its vulnerary properties. It smells like vanilla and root beer, but it's wonderful for the skin, and I use it in a healing lotion that I make for eczema. And it really smells lovely, but that's my favorite scent that I use.
Okay.
But I also love lavender. Lavender, I joke, is the Swiss Army knife of the aromatherapy toolbox. Um, and I also love sandalwood because sandalwood is my favorite essential oil for migraines, and I'm a migraine sufferer too. And it's the best, the best choice for migraines. So sandalwood is my absolute favorite.
Yeah, sandalwood. Sandalwood's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of reminds me of like I've smelled it in bug spray, right?
Mm-hmm.
The organic bug sprays, the clean bug sprays. But I've also smelled it like as an incense, and as an
Mm-hmm.
incense, it's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just never really found a use for it.
Yeah, that's really the best, my favorite use for it. It's a heartwood. It's a really beautiful, earthy, very base note
Yeah,
fragrance, and it's lovely. It's a base note oil, and it's wonderfully calming for migraine, which is why I
that's
use it.
very important. I'm gonna write this down. Sandalwood
Yeah.
for migraines.
Yes, sandalwood for migraines.
Huh. Okay. Well, let's talk about yoga and Yoga Nidra.
Okay.
Um, I absolutely love Yoga Nidra. I remember one particular session where the teacher was going into our our oneness and our connection to spirit and how beautiful our souls were and how loved we were, and I was like, oh, like it was so sweet the way that the way it was expressed. It was like she was coming from spirit. It was almost like she was channeling spirit and talking
Mm-hmm.
to us
Mm-hmm.
as our sovereign divine beings that we are. And it was just beautiful. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just, it left a mark on me. That
Yeah.
experience, that one experience, left such a mark on me that I could see why you get drawn in really easily, especially you're at a school where you can learn it and become certified in it. Yes, please. I would like that. You
Yeah,
know?
yoga nidra is amazing, and I'm very, very blessed and fortunate to have been taught by Kamini Desai, and I don't know if that name rings a bell, if you know her name. Kamini Desai is a PhD and a doctor in her own right, and her father is Yogi Amrit Desai from the Amrit Institute. Guru Dev is one of the yogis that brought yoga to the West in the 1960s.
Ah, okay.
And Kamini is his daughter, and I've had the fortune to meet him as well. And his presence and um, he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. But Kamini herself is also amazing, and she is an amazing teacher. And she eats, sleeps, breathes not only yoga, but Yoga Nidra. And
Mm.
I'm very, very honored and blessed to have been taught by her. She comes from Iceland twice a year to teach at Swiha.
Wow. What
And
what a treat.
yeah, she's amazing. And Yoga Nidra is just, it's a passion for me. It's one of the things I love. And, there's so many benefits to it. It's a sleep-based meditation practice that drops you into deep brainwave states like theta and delta. At a 35-minute Yoga Nidra is equal to 3 hours of restful sleep. And it's just, I can't explain it. It's just so hard to explain, but it's your body's ability to connect with source.
Mhm.
And that deep, we call it resting as the container, the very bottom of the ocean where you're resting as source. You're
Right.
not there very long, but we go through breathing techniques, we go through body rotations, we go through, we start with asanas, sometimes we start with just, um, different pranayama techniques, all kinds of different things, but you go through an entire 35 to 45-minute sequence.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
find I sleep better, that you sleep better because of it. It's just, it's indescribable. It really, really is what the benefits are, but it's also recommended by the US Army Surgeon General
Huh.
for people with PTSD, for veterans with PTSD. It
Oh,
helps with it
excellent.
helps with
Okay.
anxiety, it helps with
Yeah.
PTSD, it helps with depression, it balances blood sugar, it balances the right and left sides of the brain. It has so many benefits. It's
Wow.
such an incredible modality. It really, really
Amazing.
is.
Amazing. So I would love to hear your favorite aspect because there's a lot of different aspects of it.
Mhm.
So what's your favorite part?
I really, I really love the there's a couple of techniques. We do a chakra rotation that's absolutely incredible. It's one of my absolute favorites. That's in I've taken not only the basic Yoga Nidra through, we have it the advanced, and the chakra rotation is part of the advanced decks. There's an energetic diffusion technique that's absolutely incredible, as well. And those are probably my two
Nice.
favorite techniques.
Yeah. And I mean, talk about modalities, I mean, these are the type of things that people are really, really needing, whether they know it or not.
Yeah,
Um, People know that they need resolution for their PTSD and their anxiety and depression, but they don't know so much that they need an energetic diffusion. They
yeah,
don't know that their nervous system is all dysregulated and needs some support. You
right.
know,
It's
it's
true.
it's
And,
not language that we understand.
and in the world we live in, an energetic diffusion technique is always going to be a good call,
Yes,
with the world we're
absolutely.
living in right now.
Totally. Um, okay, so where do you teach? Because I know you teach on a regular basis.
I have a treatment space at Sacred Roots Wellness and Ministries here in Ahwatukee. It's at 40th and Chandler Boulevard. My friend Audrey Washington, it's her space, and she has some smaller treatment rooms that she rents out, and I have one of those treatment rooms. And so I'm very blessed to be able to teach Yoga Nidra twice a month at
That's
her space.
beautiful.
Those are group classes. It's a drop-in class. We ask that you respond to me so I know you're coming, because we can only take 8 people
Ah,
at a time. But they're offered twice a month. But I also do private Yoga Nidra sessions.
oh, nice. So
Yeah,
if somebody can't make it to a class, they could come
right,
individually.
right. And it's
Huh.
more individualized time, when you have, you know, a private session. We do a longer nidra. It's not the 30 to 35 minutes you want to have when you have a class. and you're by yourself. So you get more individualized time. The yoga nidra is much longer.
Mhm.
Um, so that's
Okay.
that's what's nice. But we have the next one is coming up on the 15th of June, and then there's another one coming up July 13th, and then July 27th. And then we've got August 3rd and August 24th, and September 14th and September 28th. And
Excellent.
they're all at 9 in the morning.
9 a.m. Yep. And at the Sacred Roots Wellness Ministries.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah. I actually used to live right across the street from there.
Did you?
And I didn't even know you were there. Ah,
Yeah.
go figure. It's
Yeah.
interesting how things
Small world.
happen like that.
Yeah.
So I understand that you're now going into yoga teacher training. So this is a
Yes.
new chapter of learning for you. Oh, I'd love to share a little bit about my experience in yoga teacher training. I had been practicing for almost a decade, and I actually started teaching before I got certified because I just wanted to share it with the world. So I was teaching in a park, and I had the wherewithal during that time to keep track of all of my classes. So I had people sign in, and I wrote the date, and I had all that. I had it in a notebook. Little did I know that when I went to yoga training, I would be able to use that notebook as part of my training.
Oh,
I
that's
was like,
amazing.
wow. So the 1,000 hours or 500 hours or 700 hours that I needed to get it was 200 hours that I needed to get my certification, I already had it in a notebook. I had been tracking it for a year, and I'd been doing these classes every Sunday for a year. So when I went to the teacher training, it was this little tiny yoga studio called the Yoga Channel in Silver Strand Beach, which is right on the border of Oxnard in
Oh, okay.
California.
Uh-huh.
And so it was like literally this was this tiny little space. It was 2 stories, kind of awkward little shop and yoga space. And then right across the street was a beach. So there were several of our sessions that we learned sitting on the beach, which was like, you can't. Yoga is amazing. Yoga is even more amazing when you can do it on the beach. um, but the experience itself, I remember the experience of teaching in front of people, in front of teachers, and I felt so much intimidation and so much like, oh God, they're all judging me. I'm like, oh, do I really want to do this? I don't know if I could do this. But yeah, ended up with a 200-hour certification, and I've never looked back. I absolutely love yoga. I love
Yeah.
teaching it. I love sharing it. I love giving people the experience of that peace you get at the end of the
Hmm.
practice. It's so yummy.
Yeah.
So,
Shavasana is amazing. It's
oh,
all
Shavasana.
amazing, but
Shavasana is the
Shavasana
reason
is,
I love yoga.
yeah.
I think that's true for most people.
Well, then,
So what do you
that
think?
Shavasana is very similar to Yoga Nidra. It's not as long, but it's very similar to Yoga Nidra.
Definitely, definitely. So what do you think drew you in to become a yoga teacher? Because this is a different part of your training, right?
Yeah, it is a different part. And I forgot to mention this to you. I'm going to be going on to do a 1,000-hour yoga therapy certification next year.
Excellent. Thank you.
So,
Yes.
yeah, like I said, this all builds on each other. I drank the Sweetheart Kool-Aid and I've never looked back. I've been going to school there since 2019 and it's now 2024. Um, but when you do yoga nidra with a room full of 25 yogis, you tend to get bit by the yoga bug.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to do the fast track yoga teacher training at Sweeha. And my yoga tribe that I took my yoga training with was incredible. And I'm very, very fortunate. My teacher is the incomparable Laura McKenzie from Laura McKenzie Yoga. She's absolutely a force of nature, and she's a wonderful human being and a wonderful yoga teacher. And she's been training yoga teachers at Sweeha in the fast track program for over a decade. And it was just I just I really didn't have a yoga practice before. I went in wanting to learn yoga, but I didn't really have a yoga practice before, and now I do.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's easy to get bit by the yoga bug. But like I
Yes,
said,
definitely.
you can't spend, 3 months in a room with 25 yogis and not have it rub off.
Yeah.
So,
All the conversation about the practice and how
mhm,
beautiful it is and how settling
mhm,
and peaceful it is and how, oh, the self-love and the power of the movement and what it does for the
mhm.
body. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, and it's really wonderful too, because with Yoga Nidra, you really dig into the Yoga Sutras
Yes.
and yoga philosophy. And so that was the other thing that really kind of sucked me in was
Oh,
Patanjali
yeah.
and, all the sutras
The
and the
eight
yoga
limb path.
philosophy, the
Yes.
koshas, all of that. So it's, it was all the yoga philosophy is just amazing. So,
Yeah, I can see.
this is wisdom that's
It's ancient.
centuries old. It's ancient,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
4,500-year-old wisdom. So,
Yeah, I mean, for me, I actually didn't have a whole lot of religion growing up. I didn't. I was baptized Presbyterian by my mother because she insisted, but we didn't have a whole lot of church. I remember a little bit of Sunday school, just a little
mhm,
bit, but by the time I was about 5 or 6, we stopped going. So
mhm,
there was not a whole lot of basis of understanding of spirituality, religion, God, Jesus, any of it. And I had a period of atheism during my teenage years. I was just anti everything. The goth girl was just anti everything. And then I had an awakening experience with a boyfriend, and it was energy. I felt energy through his body, and it was like a bam in my face of there are a lot of things that you can't see that are real,
yeah,
and it made me really question, and so I pressed into it, and it was around my late 20s with carpal tunnel syndrome. I found yoga on television, and the channel, it was called yoga, breathing space yoga,
mhm,
and it just sounded really yummy, and I watched a video and I was like, this sounds really nice. I would like to do this, but I didn't do it. I just recorded it on TiVo. I didn't do it. It took me about 6 weeks to build up to actually doing it on my living room floor. When I finally did, though, it was like this unbelievable healing moment where I started the practice. My pain level was like at an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. And then at the end of the practice, my pain level had gone all the way down to a 2.
oh, wow,
And
that's
it
amazing.
felt like I found my solution. I was like, oh my God, after a year and a half of pain, this is huge. I wanted to know everything I could about yoga. And I found the Yoga Sutras through Deepak Chopra. He wrote a
Mhm,
book called The Seven Spiritual Laws of Yoga. That's exactly the same story. He just put it into Americanized language, essentially,
mhm.
and gave people a way for this to happen. And it was like, huh, I I hadn't made that connection until I got the Yoga Sutras book when I had my training. This was more than a decade later when I had my training. And so, wow, the information of how we move through the eight limb path, how we create healing through the yamas and the niyamas,
Yamas,
how
mhm.
we move through life in a very healed way. All of that is powerful.
It
Very,
is very
very,
powerful.
very. So thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for continuing your education, and thank you for also pressing into yoga therapy, because I know for me, movement has been a solution for my pain,
yeah,
and it can be for a lot of people.
yeah, and I
So,
can really, we've been out of the country and we just got back. We've been back for 2 weeks now, but I didn't do yoga for about a month.
oh my God, I bet you're craving it.
Well, I was craving it, but I went back and it kicked my bottom.
Oh, I bet.
So it was, yeah, getting back into yoga has been a little bit painful, but that just goes to show you how much you heal through the practice. If when you don't do it, your body starts to have pain, you
Yeah,
know, it's
yeah,
amazing. So, yeah.
definitely. Awesome. Okay. Well, Jen, can you please share how can people reach you?
My website is dbwellnesstherapies.com and my email is Jennifer at D like David, B like boy, wellnesstherapies.com. And of course, I don't know if it's appropriate to share my phone number, but I'm happy to do that.
Sure,
It's
if you'd like.
it's 480. Oh, I just changed it. Hold on, I don't know it off the top of my head. Let me get
Oh,
it. Isn't
okay.
that funny? I switched it to a Google Voice number. It's 480-382-4672.
Awesome. Okay.
And that's how people can reach me.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
so I would love for you to share a final thought, last inspiration.
Final thought or last inspiration. I think each individual has a lot of gifts to share with the world, and I think that it's important that they share them.
Hmm. Shine your light.
Shine your light.
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.